Thank you, Emily, and it is so great to be here today, Decatur Township Schools, and specifically, I didn't know it was Picture Day. That is a really big day at schools. For us up here, show me the smile you gave the camera today. Very, very good. Yeah, I'm sure you'll love that photograph when you get it back. So good to be here in Decatur Township. And last week, we announced the largest financial investment in literacy in the history of Indiana, with tremendous support from the Lilly Endowment. This combined $111 million investment is intentionally focused on providing support, tools, and resources for our educators who teach reading, really providing an increased focus on the science of reading to make sure all of our children can read by the end of third grade. And as we know, student learning really takes off when we have our schools and educators, as well as our parents and our families working together to do everything we can to support you. So again, while last week we announced a major investment in our teachers, this week we are announcing an investment in our parents and our families of students who need the most support. We know that day in and day out, our schools provide remediation, interventions, enrichment, supporting our students all day long. And we also know that many of our students need additional support outside of school hours. And in some cases, these school tutoring opportunities, these after-school tutoring opportunities are just to catch up. And while some parents and families are able to afford that tutoring expense right out of their pocket, many of our parents and families who know their child needs additional support, additional tutoring to help them learn and grow and be their best student, they might not be able to afford that cost. And we hear that a lot. So the opportunity we're announcing today will provide parents and families of 4th and 5th grade students who qualify for free and reduced lunch and who are also struggling academically in English language arts and mathematics to have the opportunity to have up to $1,000 for a parent or family to support high dosage tutoring outside of school hours. And at the same time, we know, and we have teachers in the room today, that many of our teachers, current and even our retired teachers, stay after school and do everything they can to provide support to our students. And with this investment, our teachers will have the opportunity to be compensated for this additional targeted support. So what does this mean for our students? And let me just get real on this for a minute. This morning, I spoke with a school principal in rural Indiana. Do you know what rural means? Who knows? Rural. Vocabulary word, bonus points. Do you know? Okay, that's all right. So rural Indiana is more like the country. So we're in the city, we're in urban Indiana. Rural is, if you imagine, not as many people, a lot of farmland in Indiana. And I say that specifically for rural Indiana because this will benefit both urban, suburban, and rural Indiana parents. But this morning was speaking with a school principal in rural Indiana who shared a story that I think really embodies the impact we hope to see across the state as a result of this initiative. The principal shared and try to get this in your mind, she had one student in particular who was really struggling. 2 to 3 grade levels behind. Teachers will understand what that means. And the student was very outgoing, but the student didn't really love school at all because the student was behind. And he had received primarily virtual learning during the pandemic, causing further learning and growth delays. And this school utilized some of their federal funding to compensate, to pay for some of their top teachers to provide high-dosage tutoring after school for an hour and 15 minutes, just for a few short weeks. And just in that small amount of time, that student made great gains. And his parents expressed, and I quote, "He felt successful for the first time in a long time." And that's what this is all about. Teachers, schools, in partnership with parents and families to do everything we can to support you, our students. This micro grant for parents will ensure more Hoosier students have access to tutoring support, regardless of their ability to pay, and ultimately access to high-quality educational opportunities, which we know matter to your lifelong success. And while I'm about to introduce Representative Bob Behning, so you're on deck, I do want to quickly give a thank you to a few people. Alicia Gatewood, I almost called you doctor. She's finishing up her doctorate very soon. None of this is possible without a team. And that team is internal in the department, and it's very, very much external. Alicia is leading this work for our team with Dr. Charity Flores, our Chief Academic Officer. They are senior leaders, and they've really led this work forward, and can't thank them enough. I also want to specifically thank CEO of the Mind Trust, Brandon Brown, and his team. Shauna Murphy, who you'll meet shortly, is going to be the Senior Director of Indiana Learns, which is what this initiative is called. And with any new initiative, there's always a lot of brainstorming, back and forth, and how could we make this the most successful? And it takes a lot of thought leadership, and we really appreciate, again, the Mind Trust team. We also greatly appreciate another person you'll hear from today, who is Dr. Todd Bess. Dr. Todd Bess is Executive Director of the Indiana Association of School Principals. And one thing we know is we as a state can share this information, and we will, but the key connectors are always people at the local level, our teachers and our principals, who know you as a student and know our families and can make that connection. And Dr. Todd Bess with the Principals Association has leaned in and provided excellent thought leadership as well. We'll also hear from the superintendent of Decatur Township, Dr. Matt Prosecki. We'll hear from the Indianapolis Public Schools Superintendent, Dr. Alicia Johnson. And we'll hear from the CEO of Muncie Community Schools, Dr. Leanne Kwiatkowski. So again, while these are urban school leaders in some of our really important cities in Indiana, this is for all schools across the state. On that note, I'd like to introduce Representative Bob Behning and invite him to the podium. Thank you very much.